And now, I wonder the kind of country that we are, passionate and mad about sports, what really is the intersection of sports and startups? And this is the session, ladies and gentlemen, where we will talk about this very important topic about the intersection of sports and startups. And the topic and the theme is Game On. Before I invite our chair, Kalra, founder and chairman of MakeMyTrip, let me also share with you that Shikhar Dhawan will be joining us from Bangalore virtually because he's hurt his leg and has been asked not to move. So he'll be joining us virtually. And let me now please invite on stage Mr. Kalra, founder and chairman, MakeMyTrip Limited. Please, can I have you on stage, sir? And can we have a big round of applause for Kalra, please? Joining us also on stage is Ankit Mehrotra, who will be a part of the session, co-founder and CEO, Dineout, and general partner, Dhawan Capital India. Can we have you on stage, Ankit, please? Yes, a big round of applause, and we'll have Shikhar joining us virtually. Let's have the session going.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much. I think everyone's disappointed that Shikhar's not here in person. Probably the most disappointed person is me, actually, because I was agreed to do this because he was going to be sitting here. Instead, I have to do with Ankit, but that's okay. But he's genuinely, it's actually, if you're a Indian cricket fan or if you're a Punjab 11 fan, then you're very sad because he's got an injury and hopefully it's a minor one. So he had to rush back to Bangalore, I understand. Yes. So let's see how good his link is. We'll try to get him virtually, apparently on a high-speed link. So we'll find out how good technology is working actually today. So someone bringing him on? Okay, we'll give it a minute or two. So why Shikhar? Okay, great. Shikhar, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Shikhar, we are all feeling quite let down, quite nervous, and also quite sad. But hopefully the injury is a small one.
Yeah, I got an injury, but it's a small one, and I'll be ready for IPL. So I'm doing my rehab over there. And hello to everyone over there.
Okay, that's good to know because very big Punjab 11 fan out here. So please get well. Okay, great. So the reason we've got Shikhar and we've got Ankit is they have a really exciting startup in the world of sports venture capital. Sports venture capital, which Ankit will tell us about, is a big thing overseas. Is very new in India, but picking up a lot of steam, just like sports is doing well. We're here to talk about the business of sports. Of course, everyone knows Shikhar. He needs zero introduction. But what people don't know about Shikhar is that he also knows a lot about the business of sports. And we're going to ask him some questions on why he's chosen, this particular time, what Dhawan Ventures is about, and to back Shikhar up wherever we want to get more technical. Ankit, who also, by the way, anyone in the entrepreneurial world should know well. Ankit's one of the key co-founders of Dineout, a company which was, early in this stage. They had multiple interesting transactions, last of which was with Swiggy.
Swiggy, yeah.
And Ankit's doing his earn-out there, but while he's doing his earn-out there, earn-out from Dineout, but the exciting thing is what he's doing with Dhawan. So, Ankit, you want to tell us a bit about the fund, and then we ask Shikhar some questions?
Yes, absolutely. So, Dhawan Ventures is basically international sports tech fund. And the way we're sort of working on this is that it's a 75 million pure sports tech fund based out of Abu Dhabi, which is going to be investing in upcoming ventures, especially related to sports, the whole business of sports. So sports globally is a $500 billion industry and growing, especially after COVID, growing at a crazy rate. Probably they said 30 to 40% CAGR or something like that. We've all seen what the World Cup, $200 billion odd football World Cup in Qatar was all about, right? So the next few years is supposed to be the era of sports tech, I would say. And it involves everything around athlete management, performance, fans, like especially after COVID, a lot of people realize that fans is actually what rule or which propel the game, sports overall forward, right? So it's anything and everything to do with sports as such. So that's the Global Sports Tech Fund based out of Abu Dhabi. And on the Indian side, we're doing 25 million sort of a fund, which is going to be sector agnostic, but a fund where celebrities, especially, so obviously we all know Shikhar, right? So Shikhar is a key part of it, where we're trying to bridge the interaction or the gap between startups and celebrities. So someone, for example, in my case, right, been in the industry for a long time, it always is very difficult to figure out who the right celebrity is, and then to get a deal. How do we get them involved, right? So our objective with this India fund is to bridge that gap, create a connect between startups and celebrities looking to invest in either thing. So that's the whole idea.
No, it's a wonderful idea. I think it's been very successful overseas. For those of you who are aware, Serena Williams, I guess, is one of the first or the recent big movers in that. Leveraging not just their know-how of sports, but obviously what they can bring, add value to the venture. So the way I look at it, Ankit and Shikhar, is about 200 crores for India, about 600 crores globally. We have a lot of young entrepreneurs out here getting into sports management. I know most of the people here have come here to meet with Shikhar and hear from Shikhar, but also many people have sports ventures. So Shikhar, I'll start with you. So what inspired you to diversify, to go beyond pure sports, but get into the business of sports?
Of course, it's always about timing, and I'm going through a transition as well as a cricketer. I'm getting a bit old, so I thought that it was the right time to get into business, and side by side I do a good foundation. So whenever I'm going to leave cricket, I have lots of other work as well. So and it's always a good learning for me to get out of my comfort zone and try something new. And I'm a risk taker, so I enjoy taking risk and placing it smartly. So that was the reason that we got into startup funds as well. And even the awareness about startup companies have grown like anything in India as well as overseas as well, and felt that these next 10 years for India, it's humongous, and we're going to generate lots of business. So to seize that opportunity, we felt that, okay, we need to create some funds globally and in India as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's a very, very smart move, Shikhar. I agree with everything you said, except that you're getting old. I've seen how you can still move. It's pretty fast. I know you're a risk taker. So for people who don't know, Shikhar goes and plays football with youngsters who are 18 and 21-year-old routinely downstairs in the condominium where he stays, and risks getting hurt all the time, but he still plays the football. So I know you take risks all the time. I want to ask both of you this question, really. Ankit's given an idea of this, but really in India, we have looked at, firstly in sports, it is cricket, and then everything else. Now we are seeing, luckily, a bit more happening with hockey is coming up well. Football, I think, with the ISL is definitely about time coming up well. Tennis we see a little bit. Badminton we see a little bit. But when it comes to pure dollars right now, it's still, I think, cricket. I haven't done the math, but I'm assuming 95% is cricket, right?
That's correct.
Will that follow through even in the sport ventures that you will look at funding? And this is for both of you. Dhawan, which is a lovely name, good play on the word, Dhawan. Will that follow through here as well? Will it be 90% cricket or not necessarily?
No, not necessarily. So as you said, Deep, you're absolutely correct, but I think that the industry is definitely changing, right? Kabaddi, for example, is generating a lot of advertisement dollars, especially this season. It went really well, right? So see, from our perspective, it's not about a particular sport. It's about the periphery around, like how is the venture helping either athletes train better or get them to know a lot more about their performance? How is it? And also, can it enable fans to do well? Or engage with the sport? So, like the largest company in this space is a company called Fanatics, which has raised upwards of $3 billion, and it's all about fan engagement, right? So I think it's more about that than rather than just sports. So it's about the industry around sports rather than just the game itself. That's what we're trying to.
I got it. I think we're also seeing that this new generation, if we look at millennials and even if we look at the youngsters today, definitely there's a perceptible shift away from only cricket, especially in the urban cities, which might be a good thing also. I mean, I see at least a lot of youngsters who are much more into football. Interestingly, you mentioned kabaddi, and I was amazed at the connect that kabaddi had with young kids, especially young boys who had never played. Like in my generation, we knew kabaddi, we had played kabaddi at some level, but the youngsters had never seen kabaddi. First season of kabaddi on TV, and most of these boys were hooked. And they were hooked because it was fast and it was physical, and the rules were easy to understand and get it. So are we going to, figure out a way where some of the newer sports, which today are very popular but don't have the fan connect, what are you going to do to get that fan connect going? Is there something different that you're going to do, or is there ventures that you're going to look at? Like are you going to spot the fanatics of India, or are you going to help almost co-create some of these ventures?
I think that's a great question. It's about spotting the fanatics and co-create. So I'll give you a small example, right? Football. Now, over the last 4 years, I've seen a perceptible shift in how football clubs, Liverpool, the fan clubs of Liverpool, Manchester United, they've just become so active in India over the last 4 years. F1, again, there's a huge shift which is happening where younger generations are now following F1. They know a lot about the sports. So I think what's happening is that the younger generation, I would say the Gen Z, are looking beyond cricket and looking at global sports. Obviously, because of the exposure that's been available, I think a lot of shows on OTT like Netflix, etc., have done a great job to bring international sports to India, and also people are traveling a lot more, experiencing these sports themselves. So I think the next few years is going to be about identifying the sport after cricket, which is going to make it big in India. I think we already have a few contenders. Like for example, you spoke about badminton. Badminton, we're already receiving a lot of global accolades on the world stage. We've got people, our players winning tournaments, etc. So I think it's about, for us, as part of the venture, it's about identifying the next 2 or 3 sports after cricket, and also identifying the ventures which are actually doing stuff around it. So, for example, we're also identifying gaming companies which can actually bring now sports into your living room through AR, VR. So all of those things are really interesting, because how do you get the millions of people to actually enjoy a sport, get immersed in it, sitting in their living room? And I think we have to look beyond television just to do that.
Good point, Ankit. I'm going to come back to you in a minute, but I want to ask Shikhar this question. So, Shikhar, how will you leverage your Shikhar brand, your celebrity image, for the fund beyond? So, while Ankit and the rest of the team, I met some of the team, very bright guys, Siraj and others, they're going to be working hard on the business plans, scouting, and doing what typically venture funds do in sports. I get that. How do we leverage brand Shikhar there? How does Shikhar add that value which a lot of entrepreneurs will be looking for?
So, of course, it is very important to have a good team, and I'm very, very fortunate to have an amazing team along with me. And with the brand thing, of course, for any startup, they need that stability. So that brand gives them that stability, because we got millions of following, and once we post something that, all right, we having this or having a connect with some brand, they always, our fans go and get engaged with the brand, and if they want to buy that stuff or whatever it is. So we bring that weightage on that side for the startup brands. When they want to grow big, they always need a face out there. So by my brand, of course, we'll be investing in so many companies, so we'll be doing so many founders. So all those opportunities can go to so many other celebrities as well.
Yeah. Fantastic. No, I'm sure that any company who will be working closely with you guys will gain a lot. Also, I think, the kind of qualities that most top people, sportsmen, embodify, and definitely you do, I think a lot of lessons for young entrepreneurs to learn from that too, which is just taking failure in your stride, It's not about winning every day. You can't win every day. But how do you even lose and come back? How do you bounce back? And I always say the single most important quality for any entrepreneur is resilience. And I think no one better to learn that from than you, and defying age and coming back. So I think those who will get money from Dhawan will be very lucky. Coming back to you, Ankit, you mentioned some of these VR, AR, getting fan engagement. I have seen fantasy sports becoming really huge. So if you look at the Premier League, it's huge, but it's also in India, I think. If you look at Dream 11, the big daddy out here, who's done a great job, I think. But where are the other distinct opportunities for the young entrepreneurs who are physically present here, who will also see this recording later? Which are the areas you think they should be thinking in? Because sometimes, you're overawed. I meet a lot of youngsters saying, I want to be in sports. I'm fanatical about sports. I want to build a business, but I'm not quite sure what. My typical reaction in most other business would have been, no, go figure it out. But maybe we can give them some starting pointers. Where should they be looking, playing to their strengths? Like, what would a good business plan look like, which has a good chance of making it even to stage 2 or stage 3 with you guys? What should people be looking at?
Sure. So I think the one thing about people who are passionate about sports, follow teams, is that they spend a lot of money, right? Whether it's buying jerseys or just following the sports, traveling, etc. Right? So I think, and especially during after the COVID, after unlocks happened, I'm seeing a lot of stuff happening around people, and a couple of startups come up who are helping people get to different venues across the world, trying to do packages, trying to do interactions, etc. So that's, for me personally, I think that's a huge opportunity across the world, because now what has happened post-COVID is that people want to live it up, right? Earlier, people who were just following their teams from the couches now want to be a lot more involved, have a lot of different experience. So travel and sports, I'm seeing a lot of interesting things happening over there. The second thing I think is that on the merchandise side, right, especially in the US, we're seeing a lot of money being made by clubs. Like if you look at the statement of some of the income statements of some of the largest clubs in the world, whether it's football or basketball, there's a lot of, they make a lot of money, unproportionate amount of money from merchandise. So I think in India also there's a huge opportunity. We're already seeing some of that happen, but I think people who are able to figure out how to unlock more for their fans of particular sports and clubs, etc. I think there's another opportunity to be definitely a huge opportunity over there.
Let's dig a little deeper, because if we look at IPL, which has proven to the world that one of the biggest franchises ever, we are probably rivaling, I was reading somewhere, the biggest league at all times in terms of just money generated, which is amazing if you think about it. Such a young kind of movement, but it's done so well. But for a typical entrepreneur, like the session just before us, I know you and I heard a bit of that. We heard such inspiring stories of made in India with, bootstrap, own money. How does an entrepreneur get into this? You get scared almost saying, you look at IPL numbers, you say, that's crazy. So do you take the tech approach and build something really cool on tech? How do you really get into it if you have, let's say, 20 lakhs in your pocket, or you can borrow 20 lakhs, that's it, before they come to you? What do?
I think the tech approach is the way to go, and I'll just talk about a particular company. I'll not name it right now because it's still in the early stages of what us discussing with them. But what they've done is that, so we all know obviously cricket, like I'll take the example of cricket. It's followed and played passionately in India, but still across the globe is still a little bit unknown, right? Where, like, let's take the example of US, etc. It's not known there. Now, what these guys have done is that they've taken cricket into the meta with a connected bat. So think of a Nintendo Wii, but at a much cheaper sort of cost, where it's a physical bat. So with Wii, if you would have remembered, it's like a stick with, you play different games. So they've actually developed a bat which is connected, and you can actually hook it up to the screen and play with people across the globe, right? So that's one of the things, and the pricing, it's technology, but also the price point that they're making it is very affordable at like 3,000 odd rupees, right? Where you can play with virtually anyone across the world. So I'm seeing a lot of these things coming out, which I think which will change the way fans interact with the sports, but also build a global appeal for Indian sports. And I think that's what is really exciting.
Great. I hope the young entrepreneurs, yeah, Shikhar.
Yeah, but even sport drinks, healthy food, these are all part of sport thing, as a sport person, you need all those things as well. And there's like when we do our physio and everything. So all those come in that as well. There are also businesses, little things out there which is connected with sports as well.
Right. Right. No,
So
Shikhar,
it's a big growth. Yeah.
you read my mind actually. I was going to come to you for, you talked about health, which I think is, it's a given, but people don't know what to do, right? In sports, there's a whole industry out there, but there's also a lot of science around nutrition. I was actually going to touch on the other aspect of it, which is the mental health part of it and the well-being part of it. I think we've all seen that when you reach the very top, the kind of level you are playing at, you've played at, and you continue to play at, then that plays a huge role because everyone at that level is putting in 100%. They're very talented. What makes the difference there that people like, if we just look at what we saw yesterday and we've seen, Jadeja come back after long illness, come back and come back even better, whereas a lot of people are not able to come back. So how will that play a role, and how do you think that plays a role, not just for sports people, but we can share with a larger community through Dhawan?
Absolutely. It plays the main role, as in everything is energy. So what sort of energy you're going to create, you're going to attract that sort of stuff in your life. And it's about having that self-belief and to know how to create that self-belief as well to achieve things in life. And for sure, life in any situation, whether it can be sports, business, or any other work, life will throw challenges and life will put you on your knee. But how quickly you get up, that's what matters. That's what champions' mindset is. And if you see Jadeja or anyone who may come back, they already have that self-belief that they're going to come back and do great. And of course, they back up with their skill level or fitness level. That's another aspect. But mentally, you have to be there. And yeah, ups and downs are very, very important in life. That makes your character more strong. You have to go through that. Otherwise, you have to go through that pain, because that little pain makes you think deeper and you come up with new solution. So I'm sure a lot of people out there will connect with this situation, because most of us have gone through that situation, and yeah, and then that's how you become wiser as well, and that's why there is no substitute for experience.
Fantastic. Shikhar, I was just thinking of this actually. It came to me while you were just saying this, that your role right now as captain of a franchise, especially with the younger players, some are, very seasoned players, they know what to do. Broadly, you just tell them, go play your role. But the very young players, there's also a quota of getting someone I know below a certain age, some locals, you have them in the team, and the debutants, the way you are coaching them and mentoring them and preparing them, and we've all found wonderful guys come out of IPL, which has been, I think, the best part of IPL. Will you be able to give some of that time to the investee companies where you'll be able to also spend, one-on-one time with these young entrepreneurs who get invested, hopefully by Dhawan, or even if in the process, will you be able to carve out time for that? Because I think that will be a big appeal for youngsters.
Yes, I'll be doing that. Of course, I'll go for motivational speaking as well.
Yeah.
And at those events, and yeah, of course, if I'm doing business or having an interaction one-on-one with a business person, for sure I'll discuss those things. If they ask me, for sure I'll give my advice here. And yeah, like for me as well, I learned so many things from my team or my friends, those who are into business, and I enjoy learning new things from them. So if I have to pass on my knowledge to them, of course I would love to do that.
That's awesome. Can I indulge you a little bit more on that point? Who are some of those peers or people you look up to in the world of either in venture, finance, or business? Who are the guys? I mean, let's start with cricket. So who are the cricketers that you admire, contemporary and past?
There are so many. I love watching A.B. de Villiers, Brian Lara, Sachin Paji, Dewey Paji. So they all are great players. All in the different players as well. So they were quite, I used to look up to them.
And non-cricketing sports people.
Non-cricketing, my mama from my family, I've grown up in front of him, and I've learned so many trades by my father saw, and all other different businessmen, all from
Wonderful. Okay, that's great because it's interesting to know what you're looking at as well. And what are these lessons? This is still for Shikhar. I'll come back to you. What are these? Let's say top 2 or 3 lessons from cricket field to the field of sports entrepreneurship, business. What are those a few lessons which we should keep in mind?
The lessons, first thing is to have a great team. Like I've entered into this new field by, I know that just by my brand or by my face, it's not going to work. I need to have a good team, and the leader is as strong as the team. So that's the first step. And secondly, having great vision, uh, having that ability to turn your dreams into reality, learn that art, how to do that. Uh, that is very, very important. All the young entrepreneurs sitting over there, you should dream big, use law of attraction to achieve things, let things come to you. So that's all art which I've used in my cricket career for years, and I've turned so many of my dreams into reality. And I know that I will do that in business world or any working world. I'll go and just do it.
That's awesome. That's very, very inspirational. Thank you. That's really nice. Ankit, coming to you. So from a timing point of view, we think India is ready, right? We think India is ready for everything. So I don't know if you heard Mr. Kant in the morning, but obviously the next decade or next 2 decades maybe India's to lose, right? We have everything. We have everything. We have the demographics. You've been doing Dineout for a long time. You know, I've seen you from when you started and you built a really good company out there. But why now? Is sports, you think we could have done this a few years ago, or do you think we're already late and we should be getting into this full on?
So if I look at a 15, 20-year time horizon, I think we were a bit late. But COVID, I think, has reset the clock on a lot of things, right? And I think now, coming out of the gates, I think we're seeing some great stuff happening on ground, not just in the sports field as well. Like as I said, right? IPL, the rights are at par with any other sort of sports out there. We're seeing companies like Dream11, etc., becoming big. So I think now the time is right for a disruption to happen in this entire sports tech space, which, if you think about it, has not happened till now. And so that is definitely going to be the driving force over the next, few years. And again, it's not just what I said about let's say the likes of Dream11 and all. It's also about a lot of stuff. What Shikhar also mentioned, people are now focusing a lot more on their well-being, nutrition, performance. So all of these things, I think, are going to play a very important role in us coming out of the gates. The other important point also is that demographically, right, the young people are now in an age group where they're able to go and win tournaments at a global level, badminton being a prime example, right? The talent that we've seen over the last 6-7 years has been phenomenal, right? And this is something which was not happening earlier. We know Olympics, India has done well. So I think the next decade, from a sports perspective, is probably going to be, we're going to see India do wonderful things. And to actually, for that to happen and for that to be successful, we need an entire sort of, I would say, the machinery behind it, which is going to be built up of, obviously great companies, supporting that, sports people giving back as Shikhar's trying to do, and a lot others will join the bandwagon and do that. So I think the time is just ripe for it.
Yeah. No, wonderful. So Shikhar, I think seeing the World Cup in Qatar, one thought which was going on in every Indian's mind was, when will India make it to the World Cup? And I know you're also a football enthusiast. You have some pretty good moves. I've seen that. What do you think it's going to take? Because I think you would be aware that the next World Cup is a best chance yet, because it's going to be a maximum number of teams, right? It's going to be, I think it's 48 teams or 64 teams? 64 teams, the World Cup in the US, Mexico, and Canada. What will it take, you think, for India to make it, to actually qualify to play even in the top 64 teams?
I feel that the good thing is ISL is already happening, so the exposure all Indian footballers get in that league, even the domestic players, with international players and coaches, that's going to make a huge difference. And
because I don't think it's, everyone I meet, they always say, how can it be with a country of 1.3, now 1.4 billion, you don't have enough talent. I said, the talent is there. I think it's the early stage where we are not probably giving the right inputs, catching them firstly very early. Some of the best football.
Teams also matters. Of course, like when we play cricket, when a West Indian player gonna come or Australian, they're much stronger than us.
Yeah.
Teams, they cannot do much about that. Right?
Yeah. No, I really hope for that day, and hopefully it'll happen sooner than later. So a couple of fast, quick questions for you, Shikhar. Fun questions. If you weren't a cricketer, which other sport do you think you'd be?
Soccer player.
Not kabaddi. Everyone thinks it's kabaddi after
But as a kid,
football.
didn't play kabaddi that much in Delhi.
Okay.
As you correctly said that now kids love watching kabaddi. So it's a sport they see on TV and they're learning from the
Okay. Fair enough. Who do you think has got the second best chances to win the current IPL? I won't ask you the best chances. That's clear. Second best.
Chennai or Mumbai.
Chennai or Mumbai? Okay, so that would be a good matchup, something we're going to look forward to. And Shikhar, before we let you go, you owe us one to come physically to tie. We are not going to count this as that, so you have to still come physically, maybe on another future event. We'll do a chat show or something just with you when you're there after the IPL. But get well soon, heal quickly, and we want to see you in action on the field very quickly. And thank you for doing this with us. It's really been great, having you and hearing your thoughts. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ankit, any closing words? Anything I didn't touch upon that you want the audience to know about Dhawan Ventures?
No, I think just that I think we're in a very interesting and exciting space, which is about to probably, see its light in the day. I think we're seeing at a grass, and what's encouraging for us is that we're seeing a lot of these startups that we're meeting now coming out not from a tier 1 city, but tier 2 cities, right? Young founders from smaller cities trying to make an impact. And I think that's probably exciting. And that's what our vision for the, for the fund for Dhawan is also to actually impact at the grassroots level and support entrepreneurs from across different geographies of the country rather than just, the tier 1s of the...
My very best wishes, and from the entire TiE fraternity, hopefully you will find many of your ventures that you're looking for at TiEcon
Absolutely.
and through the TiE family. So we're looking forward to that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you so much, Shikhar.
What a mind-blowing session. Thank you so much. And with that, we conclude this session and this room. But this doesn't end here. The 3 more sessions rolling out in the Royal Room. And a big shout out to our co-partners, Shiv Nadar University and Chirate Ventures. Thank you. Thank you, Deep. Thank you, Ankit. Thank you so much. Can we have a big round of applause for this session, please?